All right. So yeah, guess the number of codeless first. Since it is recording, let me again. So welcome to the 6th episode of the 3rd season of the TTC Meetup. We are today discussing job opportunities, career opportunities in low-code test automation tools. Now, the first question to the attendees, Shiva, Rahul, and Mahati, is guess the number of low-code test automation tools in the market. So, Rahul, your guess is 15 plus.
Yeah, my guess is 15 plus.
Okay, Shiva.
With my understanding from all the conferences which I attended from over 6 to 7 months, I believe it's around 9 to 10 available, which are active, means which are live in the production, I believe, which is 9 to 10.
Okay. Okay. Mahati?
Could be even more, 20 to 30, between 20 to 30.
20 to 30. Okay, interesting. You'll be surprised that when I so how many of you have heard of this website called Captera? Captera.com.
No, I haven't heard.
So Captera is a website which has reviews of almost all the tools in this planet.
Okay.
Let me just show you on the screen. And you'll be surprised to see what happened when I typed low-code test automation tool or codeless test automation tools. Okay.
Thousand plus results. 10,000. I searched for low-code tools.
No. This is not the one. Sorry. Sorry, wrong share. Where did it go? Stop sharing. Let me just do it again.
Meanwhile, hello, Arjit.
Hey, Arjit. How are you? Arjit has been a good attendee of the sessions on AWS. So,
okay.
Where did it go? Oops.
And Mahati and Shiva, Arjit, can you guys also turn on your video if all is good?
Yeah, Rahul. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. I think I closed the window. No, I could have. Anyways, I'll open a fresh window and I'll show you. So
I think, yeah, in your search, it's showing.
See the number of results.
8690.
So, this is a weird number because it contains a whole list of RPA tools also, which are coming under the bracket of low-code tools, and they do some automation. And it also has some productivity tools and things like that. So this is not the accurate number, but I can tell you that the number of low-code tools available in the market is 1,000 plus. Okay, small, different categories, different tools, and all of these, Shiva, are active in production. All of these, Axle Q, testing Wiz, QSum, then test and white, central test, and you've all heard of Tricentis, Tosca, Tricentis Tosca has MBTA, model-based test automation. It's quite a cool tool. Then you have Test Project, which is also from Tricentis. You have Test Sigma. You have all these popular names. There are so many of them. Okay. Thing is, there is very little attention being paid to this space at this moment by the conventional group of or the good group of testers that we have. Reason, too much attention being paid to open source. Okay, so open source, when you think of it, first thing that comes to your mind is Selenium. It's there, right? And people have built frameworks, so you could reuse and you could do this. These tools, somewhere, if you want to use it for your company, somewhere you have to pay. So for example, you have Testim, you have Mabel, you have these tools as well, right? They are paid tools, but they have their own benefit. There is a lot of intelligent automation being built on it. They do a lot of things. For example, your selectors and things like that are identified. There is what auto healing feature is there. Then there is a design-based approach in these tools. Okay, then you have AxleQ recently released an AI-based feature. Okay, so they are doing a lot of work, and there are different tools in the market that are available with different capabilities. One of the biggest advantages that these tools have, that they bridge the gap that has been created by the traditional automation tools in the industry. So what is that gap? So when the traditional test automation tools came in the market, what happened was immediately there was a division that happened in the testing community, and people started getting categorized as manual testers, automation testers. Because these tools, in the very early days, when you had Windrunner as one of the first tools in the market, okay, how they marketed their tool is, this runs faster. So people ask, faster compared to what? So it's faster compared to manual testing. That was the early days of manual testing term. Okay, so what do you mean? Somebody executing their tests without the use of any tool or technology, they bracket it as manual testing. And they started marketing it like that. Other tools also followed suit, and they started saying the same thing over and over again. So then this concept was, okay, if you use tool, then you are an automation tester. If you don't use a tool, you are a manual tester. Purely on the basis of test execution, nothing else being considered. I don't know how fair that is, but still that divide remains. And the world is still divided. There is a lot of focus on both different categories. They started looking at it. But from the time these sort of tools came in, okay, early 2000, when these tools started coming up in the market, what happened was there was an interesting thing that happened. These tools, because they say that they are low code, what they did was they gave an opportunity for people to start writing tests or generating tests on the basis of the features that they offer, which means that somebody who was not proficient in coding could also use these tools and generate tests. Okay. And of course, those tests could be verified by developers or people with knowledge of tools, because if they have to do some assertions at some point, then you may have to write some code to augment to this. So people started doing that, and then it started shrinking that gap between manual and automation testers. And that is one big advantage. So when a company wants to automate stuff, when a business wants to automate stuff, what happens is they will start thinking, okay, so I want to automate this piece of testing. And they'll say, okay, whether it is UI or API layer or whatever. So as a next logical step, what they would do is, okay, let me see what tools are there which can help me with my capability. So they look at the regular ones, the Seleniums of the world, the Postmans of the world. They start looking at those and they say, okay, these tools can help me do my stuff. Then comes in, the whole test design and, execution, the whole cycle. In building those tests and then, executing those tests, maintaining those tests, there is a considerable amount of time which is consumed in actually putting out a framework, which is usable, which can be, which the company can benefit and it can start generating what people often refer as return on investment, because people think automation, they are making an investment. So when that happens, obviously the business will say, oh no, I want to shorten this cycle. It is too much of time. It has taken 6 to 9 months to actually get us the first result. I want to shorten this cycle. So what they do, they look at these codeless tools. The codeless tools, you don't have to build framework because everything is built. Only thing is you have to do some plug and play, maybe write some code integrated with the right APIs, get it running. Okay. So most of these tools are now capable of out of the box, plug and play kind of a thing. Okay. You have to just take it out of the box, plug it in to your system, and it is capable of testing or generating tests. Most of them are, designed in such a fashion. So the advantage, your time to market is shortened. You don't have to spend time thinking of designing a framework because it provides normal record and playback, which was the first feature of any automation tool that came. They have reused that, repurposed it, and wrapped it in a totally different way and have put it to people's advantage. It started with record and play, and now they have extended the capabilities because of, thanks to, AI. AI machine learning. Because of that, they have been able to extend the capabilities of these tools. So what that does is, because the cycle time is shortened, you don't have to wait for people to get trained on a particular tool or for them to sit and build the framework right from scratch. The tool itself gives you that capability. So which means that somebody who believes that he or she is a manual tester can also pick this up and start running with it. Right? So that way, people don't have to go out and look for specialist people trained in Selenium or trained in Postman or trained in Cypress or anything like that. They could simply pick this up and run it to their advantage. Right? So this is one major advantage that these tools have. And this is purely from a business perspective. Technically, of course, there are features which vary from tool to tool, and they have their own advantage. For example, I was talking about Tricentis Tosca. Tricentis Tosca has a tool called Tricentis Tosca MBTA, which is a model-based test automation. It generates the model for you, and from the model you can design your tests, repurpose, restructure your tests, okay, and use it. It's quite effective. Okay, similarly, I was talking about another tool called Worksoft Certified. Worksoft Certified is the only tool in the world which helps you, automate any ERP applications such as SAP. So if SAP comes, it's a package software, it's a package library, so you have to use it the way it is. Of course, it can be programmed based on your needs. And mostly when you are talking about, domains such as supply chain or such as CRM, you make use of SAP and SAP applications, or HRM, human resource. Okay, that's where SAP is predominantly used. So any company doing business, large scale business will think of package software, they will think of SAP. But then again, if you want to automate that, you have to think of a tool. Can you automate it without can you automate using the traditional automation tools? Of course you can. Okay, a lot of people use Selenium. They use it to the full potential. They automate stuff using that. A lot of people go down. They use Postman. They use tools such as Captaincom Studio. They use tools such as tools as Cypress. They still automate it. They are able to do it. Okay, but it will take you a lot of time to describe that and do descriptive programming and write and build it to give you some results. But with a tool like Worksoft Certified, it is a matter of hours. I would say minutes, but hours within which you can actually produce a result. because it is coming out of the box, plug and play. So this is one major thing that candidates who are looking to upskill in automation can look at. One big area. A lot of times the question is, should I learn Selenium? Should I learn this? Should I learn that? I would say, yes, why not? If you want to learn automation, why not start with a low-code automation tool? Why? Because this will give you a flavor of first of all, record and playback, which is one of the primary features. Okay. You can see the test being generated. You can see the assertions being there already. The code is generated, is given by these. So you don't have to work hard to build the code or build the framework, because these tools will give you the framework. So you can see exactly how it is done. That will give you insight and that will give you an idea. Okay. And some of these tools are capable of generating code in multiple languages, the one that interests you. Okay, the one that you are efficient in, or the one that you want to learn. If you want your framework to be generated in C#, it will give you in C#. If you want it to be generated in Java, it will give you in Java. Depending on your system under test, depending on what you've been doing. So there are a number of advantages that these tools have. And in my opinion, the market is a little oblivious at this moment. They don't really know the capability and the strength that these tools bring in. Okay, so I started researching these tools, and because if you ask traditional testers, if I were to go and ask, say for example, somebody like Naveen, what is your opinion? Okay, Naveen and I have chatted about it, and he feels that he's more comfortable with traditional automation because that is his expertise, right? And traditional automation gives you the flexibility to code the way you want, to program and design your framework the way you want. Okay, whereas if you design a framework using, say for example, Axle Q, you may have to do a lot of customization to make it look like what you want. Right, so he obviously sees an advantage in doing traditional programming. But then I was in a discussion, in a panel discussion, I think in GTR 2021, where the question was, is it fad or not? Okay, I mean, is it rubbish? It is definitely not rubbish. There is a market. That's why there are 1,000+ tools existing. Okay, people see the value. People have taken advantage and built tools based on their own need. Okay, they saw a problem, they wanted to tackle it. So they started building a tool. And then they said, oh, we can make it public. People can take advantage of this. And they generated business out of it. That's how most of these tools were born. Okay, for example, test project, when I was talking to Mark Kadashov in an AMA, I asked him, what prompted you to do this? Then he said, I was trying to solve my own problem of building a framework. And he said, I had Selenium, so I had to write a wrapper code on top of it to build my framework. I did that, and that was the birth of test project. He said, now if it can solve my problem, it can definitely solve a problem for a lot of other people in the market. And he did that, and people are taking advantage, learning from it. Similarly, there are other tools in the market which are doing a similar job. For example, Karate DSL. Again, doing a great job in the field of API. They might extend their capabilities and go to the direction of low-code, no-code. Okay, I had a talk with Peter Thomas recently, and that is in his vision. Okay, so people are extending the capabilities of the tools that they are building to help. And low-code, no-code route is a good way to go. Enough of monologue from my side. Any opinions you want to share?
Anybody else wants to go ahead?
No, you go, no?
Okay. I was taking...
Hey, good morning, Seema.
Morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning,
Seema.
Yeah, Rahul.
Yeah. So I was taking notes from your talk and also putting my reflections on some things. I tried to quickly summarize all these things in a couple of minutes. So first thing, the thing that you, in the introduction of the no-code tools and automation space, you gave a nice history about how this term manual actually came into the picture. Faster compared to what? And it was pure marketing. And we see marketing is not leaving us even today. Marketing is there and it's going to be there for tools that are going to come. And that brings another point of debate, like efficiency versus effectiveness. It could be very efficient, but is it effective and all that thing? And I have seen, you talking a lot about it on LinkedIn and other platforms, that the testing brain, that's the real power of tester. And that has enormous power. And I was reading a blog by Tariq King, who is doing some amazing work in AI. Yeah. And he said 2 lines. AI needs testing and testing needs AI.
Yes.
These will go hand in hand, and AI needs this testing brain, that can challenge the AI and help it become better. And they understand the limitations that they have. People who don't know about AI, they think of AI as some magic. But people who understand AI, they know that they need testing brain to handle that. Another thing is that I like this concept of no-code tool, and these 1,000 tools are there. And it's because, I see the industry work as a kind of a pyramid, where in the bottom half, which is the majority of the half, or 70% or 60%, they are into traditional kind of automation needs. For example, website automation, or kind of a service API automation, REST API automation, basically. And these things can be automated. People have been working on them for last 20 years. Now they know how to make good frameworks, how to design solutions through which even you don't have to write code. They have made some good building blocks. You can use them. But even the people who do automation, their job is not going to go away, because there is always that bleeding edge segment. For example, for me, I'll take my case, and I'm not doing Selenium automation. Only 5% or 10% in my job role, and I'm more involved into IoT and all that stuff. And there, all these no-code tools don't work. There is no such concept of using a no-code tool for IoT networking and all those things.
Only to a little extent they do.
Yeah,
there are a couple of tools maybe, but
yeah, there will be different use cases. And for example, if you go at a protocol level, you'll have to actually go and write the test. Maybe you have
you can't test MQTT messaging, for example.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. For example, I'm using OPC UA or something, and I cannot use a no-code tool there. So for engineers like me, or people like who have automation skills, there is a great adoption curve there. From these industries, I myself am looking for members from last 6 months to onboard on such skills, and I'm not able to find. So that's a second thing. So bleeding tech will always absorb good automation engineers, but automation is not the passion for everybody. And automation, when I say automation, it's absolutely programming, it's code development. That's what I'm talking about. There is no such thing as Jugadu automation. And pseudo framework development or all these things. I'm not talking. It's a proper engineering discipline. Like testing, you have to study it from basics to advanced. There are no shortcuts and all. Absolutely. And if you apply shortcuts to testing, you do bad testing. And if you apply shortcuts to coding, you do bad coding. And there is no such things. And I'm happy that these tools are coming. And it also resonates us with the industry trend. If you see the industry trend, the ultimate aim of coding is to eliminate the need of coding.
Yeah.
We make frameworks so that somebody else don't have to write those libraries. We make SDKs, APIs, so that people don't have to write the same methods. And it's essentially on the lines of problem solving, saving time and efficiency and all those things. But still people code. You make new things. So that's always going to be there. And for some things, I am absolutely happy if there are no code alternatives. For example, I'll give you 2 examples that I've used, and they save time for me. There are debates on that, but I'm happy with that. One is selector sub. I mean, I definitely know how to create selectors. I've done it and I know how to craft it. And I advise everybody to learn it. But for selectors, I mean, I don't put my brain in crafting them every day. I could, but because if selectors can give me good selectors, including accesses and all, I'll just take it from there. Or for example, for JSON to C#, I mean, when you do serialization, I have to create classes. I don't manually create classes. I use these no-code tools. I put a JSON, parse a C# class out, and use that in my code. So and these kind of utilities are always going to help me.
Right.
There was, and also there is I see a myth getting breaked now that, or a trend getting breaked, that no-code tools were paid tools. But now there are open source no-code tools also available, like Test Sigma, like Cometa. And I want to give them a try. I mean, I'm looking
Definitely.
for some area where I can give them a try. Maybe there are some junior developers working on some project and I can just onboard that tool for them, that they can write some scripts and things, or maybe they want to automate anything. And business decision, I mean, I respect that. And I mean, we all, I mean, eventually are, serving or catering the business. I mean, technology is a business enabler, so that's fine. And I mean, for tester, how I see it is that a Sherlock Holmes is a Sherlock Holmes. It doesn't matter what tool he uses or he doesn't use a tool. I mean, the power is in his brain. I mean, and I really look forward to those powerful testers. I mean,
good.
That's what
Thank you, Rahul. That was quite some perspective. So, who wants to go next and talk about their thoughts on low-code tools in the market? Your understanding why we need them. Shiva, Marty, since you were listening in. Arjit. Seema, you've been using some already.
Sorry, I was not at my desk. So what's the question?
The question is your perspective on the adoption of these low-code tools in the market, because there is immense potential. There are numerous tools in the market, and yet there is a scarcity of people or good testers adopting it. So, what is your perspective on that?
I think when it first came out, a lot of people had put in a lot of effort to learn the languages or frameworks, coded ones. And when low-code tools came out, there's a lot of resistance towards it, because I've put in so much of effort, so much of learning. I have so much of experience. Why should I use something like that? And what it has then created is this big gap where we have a group of people who know automation. There's a small set who knows how to write test frameworks. Then there's a little wider set who know how to write automation code, but not framework maybe. And then there's a large set of people who have been trying to move from manual only or no code at all to learning coding, whether it is Selenium, whether it is Python or Java, or whatever that is. They've been trying and trying and trying, and then there's a big gap. Now that gap is starting to increase in getting those kind of people who know automation. I think in the run for like Rahul said, we just because it's there for Sherlock Holmes, doesn't matter what tool it is. So it's the same thing. We have automation, or there is automation. Doesn't mean we have to just go and automate everything for the sake of writing. And low-code tool, we've been using low-code tool. We've done proof of concept for open source as well as paid tools. We've tried variety of things, but there was very clear reason for what do we want to use, what do we want to automate, how do we want to automate. The how came afterwards, because we first wanted to know what is the problem here, understand the problem, then let's try to fix the problem. Now, how do I fix it? That fix can come from any tool. It can be, okay, let's put in 10 other people to test it every time there's a change, or let's fix it by writing automation tests coded, or let's find another way. And now, what is the other way? Luckily, we have low-code tools now, so we gave it a try, and that's how we started using. Now, use of low-code tools doesn't mean there is no code at all. We are still coding. We're still writing JavaScript snippets in it. We still need to understand how to structure the test. We need to understand the strategy behind how do we structure the test? How do we execute those tests? And what are the dependencies? It's not like coded, but at the same time, you need to have a vision. Otherwise, it's a big, utter failure. We've seen it. We are fixing it. Without understanding what is your strategy, how are you going to... I think one analogy that keeps coming to my mind is you want to write a fiction book. That's the automation, big coded. There's a big fat fiction book that is there. For someone who is an author who always writes big fat books, maybe it's something they'll take time, but they'll eventually come up with a book. There needs to be an idea. There needs to be way of writing. There needs to be chapters in it. The flow from between the chapters should be there. There needs to be a beginning, a middle, and an end. Everything is there. And then we have this low-code tool, which is like a kid's book, but it's still a book. It still needs to have a beginning, an end, and a middle. It needs to have a structure in it. It needs to be captive. It is visual, but it's fine. It may not be as fat as something, another fiction book, but yes, it's still a book. So why not? We don't, without learning ABC, or just learning ABC, we think, okay, from tomorrow you need to write a test framework and test, and you need to be an expert in automation. You can't. You don't provide people the time, the opportunity, the resources, and then expect them from learning ABC tomorrow write a fiction book or a non-fiction book. It's not possible.
That's absolutely true, Seema. I couldn't agree more, and that was a very good example, a very good analogy of a fiction book versus a children's storybook, which has more pictures, and it still, of course, needs the structure. And in my experience, what I have realized is that businesses want to go in the route of automation. They go in with that approach. They start thinking, okay, what is there that I can automate? And then they start doing their work. And then they have some struggles, and they realize that we need to bridge this gap sooner because ultimately we have to release the product on a certain date, which is committed to the users. And if you want to reach that date, there has to be a way which can help you get off the ground faster. And these low-code tools are quite capable of giving you that head start. Also, this whole gap that you mentioned, you put it very nicely, that there is a section of people who are actually experts in writing frameworks, and there is a group of people who can write good automation, and then there is a large pool of testers who want to move in that direction and are finding their path still. So with such a big divide, how do you make sure that you fulfill your ambition of getting to your destination faster? And these low-code tools certainly fill in that space, and they give you the advantage of not spending a lot of time in trying to think about, okay, this is how I should build, and this is, some basic learning, some basic structure can get you started. And that
it's
is one.
definitely not applicable everywhere. Okay?
Yes, certainly
not
it is
applicable everywhere.
Certainly.
It has a very niche area where it can be used,
Certainly.
and even where it is used, it needs to be used properly. It's like, just because you have a hammer doesn't mean you go around hitting anything and everything.
Correct.
So just because you have low-code tool in that you're using in your company doesn't mean you can just write and record anything and run it. It will not add any value. It's just a waste of time even there, whether it's coded, uncoded, not coded, low-coded, no-coded, doesn't matter what coded. It's a huge waste of time if you don't know what it is that you want to achieve. Which problem are you trying to solve here?
Absolutely.
And then go around doing it. And second thing, the maintenance problem in what is there in coded frameworks that is there. That maintenance is there here also. Absolutely. If you're not clear about how you're going to do it, AI and everything, yes, it's the selectors that the AI is fixing in the background. It's not the tests. The test is still the tester's mind.
Yeah.
Even in the low code, the test is in the tester's mind. It is not anywhere else. It is how we write it and what is it that it is testing each and every time that matters. And the logic I'm still seeing this happen, where even in low code tests, while you're structuring those tests, you need to have a logic about how are you going to test it? How are we going to iterate through the menu? How are we going to iterate through the images in the page? Now, for that also, you need to put some thinking. It doesn't come, it's not just record and playback where I click this, I click this, I click this, and it keeps recording. It records it and I can play it. It's not as simple as that. I'm not trying to sell a tool here. What I'm saying is it's not as bad as record and playback. It's not a dumb person's tool at all.
No, certainly. Oh, it is definitely not a dumb person's tool. You definitely need that mindset. You need to know, what problem you're solving. Otherwise, it's meaningless to use it anyways. Before you joined, I was talking about a problem that I have on hand, and I'm trying to solve that problem. My problem is automating, ERP applications. Now, can it be done using traditional automation tools? Yes, certainly. Does it take a lot of time? Oh, yes, it takes a lot of time. Is there a low-code alternative? Yes, there is a low-code alternative. But does it solve all my problems? No, it doesn't. I still need that strategy. I still need that plan. I still need that approach. I still need to understand what piece can I automate and what is the advantage it will give. So I can't just use it, just take it, okay, and do everything. Yes, it will give me a head start. For sure, it will give me a head start. But will it solve all my problems? Probably not. So I need to be aware of that before I start using it. I need to have a clear business case built for it. I need to make my stakeholders aware that, okay, this is the problem that I'm targeting. Okay, and only this part of the problem may be solved by this particular tool. Otherwise, the thing that goes in the stakeholder's mind is, okay, we have this tool. Why can't we solve this entire problem? That will always remain. And while we are trying to look at a low-code alternative to traditional programming to solve our problem, we are also aware that it has its own set of challenges. Like, for example, you mentioned about maintenance, which still remains. Okay, you still need that tester. You need to know where to, assert. You would still need to know. Okay, as a tester, you have to use your thinking, your brain to write that or design that particular test. The tool will help you in achieving your goal, of course, if you have that logic, if you have that idea.
Can I just add one more thing?
Please go ahead.
And it bothers me a lot. It does bother me a lot. So one of the reasons I went for this low-code tool is I've had team members who have been learning coding for more than a year, who know a little bit of, they know to write a few loops and understand some concepts maybe. For more than a year, they've been trying and not really able to write tests at speed as what is required. And it's not just here that I'm seeing in my teams. Then I started noticing this outside as well. Everyone seems to be that large pool that we talked about, where knowing enough automation to be like at right code at speed for automation, that gap, what's happening to them is they're learning automation. They're not getting the opportunity to automate, or they get the opportunity, but the expectation is to climb Everest even before they've actually trekked a small hill. And that gap, what it's doing to those people, in addition to everything that goes around in this world, is add to their depression, lower their confidence. They struggle. They think we are not good at our jobs. We are useless if we cannot automate. And this kind of negative, some negative thinking, some various other pressures add on to this, and that confidence at doing your work is lost or losing, which affects a lot. And we're looking now at starting to look at a generation of people who are like this, and it's just unfair to do that to them. So yes, on one side we have AI, we have very advanced technology, but I think we need to take them together rather than just throw them to another deep end saying, here you go, this is coding, go and automate everything possible, when you don't know how to take your baby steps in the first place.
That brings me to a point that has crossed my mind a few times, and good to have you, Seema, on this discussion. So when these organizations, they plan trainings for the testers, a considerable amount of focus is still given to the traditional tools. Okay. So in your experience, Rahul or Shiva, Mahati, you also can join in and maybe help me understand this a little better. In your experience, have you actually seen people talking about these and trying to build trainings around low-code automation, trying to introduce them in their organizations in the form of trainings rather than throwing the tool at them directly or helping them understand? Yeah, for low-code, do you think that there is any focus in sort of training or something?
This is the first time we are using it, and it took us 6 months to do trials, to implement what do we want to understand what the problem is, to structure. We did some tests, we understood this is not going to work, changed our way of working. Then we found that some bits were good, some were not good. We still found a lot of roadblocks, but the tool provider then continuously supports us in order to achieve it. And we also, we have automation testers in the team, some of them, who then support the low-code testers, low-code tool, testers who use low-code tool, in supporting them in writing these code snippets. And what has amazing is, which really brings a big smile on my face each time I see this, is people who are really struggling. They would come to one-to-ones with stressed out, worrying, taking days off. They now come full of happiness saying, I know what this code does now. I understand, because they are using small snippets of code in low code to be able to achieve something. So as they are doing, their confidence is growing in what they're writing. And this is, I can see that change from the stressful, worrying, will I have my job kind of worry, to now moving to, I like what I'm doing. I really enjoy. This has been the best thing that has happened. I'm not saying it's the tool that is doing it. What's changed is they feel a little more confident. Yes, I can do my job. I'm not bad at it. If I didn't know how to code, I can learn in small code snippets. So now they understand how certain things work, how to structure the data structures or the loops. They understand it hands-on, and that has changed a lot. So I think it's training on the job. They've had training in coding. It's where you go for coding for training for 1 day a week for a year, or you go on an online tutorial, you learn JavaScript, you learn Java, you come back. How much do you actually use all of that online tutorial thing on a day-to-day? No, it's on your day-to-day that you're learning little by little by little, that you're adding on to your tool set of how do I fix this problem. It's problem solving. It's not will I use everything I learned in my tutorial? Am I going to use it in my day-to-day? I don't think so. I've not used it.
Yeah. So it is. So what you're saying is not the tool, but it's the perspective and the way of working, which is
in one of my jobs. Again, we had a lot of people who didn't know coding. This was before low code ever existed. Selenium Java days, not days, as in many years ago. I was tasked to teach the team Java. So we arranged for Java training for the team. 1 week, we had external provider come in, teach everyone Java. And the expectation was the week after, everyone should be able to automate now that they've got training. I was like, really?
I've had that.
Is that even possible?
I have had that. I've had that. Rahul has his hand up. So
yeah,
Rahul.
I'll stop. Rahul, go.
So, Seema brought an interesting point, and one thing that I'll take away from this discussion is, and I never thought on those lines, but really no-code tools can be used as a starting step for even learning automation or learning about automation.
That's exactly what we've done.
Yes,
That's exactly what we've done.
And she has a successful case study, and I could relate to it also. And I never thought on those lines. I used to feel that if somebody wants to learn traditional automation, they should just go and learn Selenium Java. But that doesn't work out because of practical challenges. And one reason being that you are not going to directly implement them. But once you have an understanding through no-code tools, and then you know that, okay, when you are learning traditional automation, then also you can map everything down to where you are going to actually use it when you are building automation. And that's a very nice perspective.
We have to look at the whole picture, right? Those tests needed to be linked to Jenkins to be able to run it. You had to put the code into GitHub. You had to then be able to run it overnight. Look at the test results. Where exactly is it wrong? Go for it there. There's test ops at that point as well. So where exactly is this going wrong? So it's building blocks, but then it's also about what is it am I testing? Is the selector being picked correctly? Yes, there is AI, but in AI also you need to understand what do I put a lot of weightage in? And they didn't know how to write CSS selectors or experts, but this gave them it's a ready-made AI based selectors and everything there. All they had to do was start looking at, okay, which one of this should I be using or adding more weight to? And that has given them more understanding. Sorry, Rahul, I'll stop.
No, absolutely.
Shiva had raised his hand. Shiva?
Yep.
Shiva.
And Mati also came in video.
Yeah, Shiva, go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
British, as Seema Rahul also said, right, the follow-up thing, where I have got a chance of attending those Axel QA hackathons. Okay, it was for me the first introduction for the no-code tool. As Rahul said, that what is he got the takeaway from this session. I too remember from the past experience that is where I felt confident that, okay, there is a chance that I can also write something which is new to me, because that platform given me that day, it given me a chance to understand which a tool can help us in actually initiating ourselves to do something different. So that is where that no code Axel Q helped me and that hackathon. And yes, as they practiced in their team, And we also looking at developing a POC for our team in my current project now, because they want to cut down the dependency of UFT, and because it's more of an database testing on a backend, and it's ETL testing what they're doing. So just they want to cut down all the dependency of UFT. They want to go for any specific tool which is available in the market and which fulfills all their requirement. So I recently suggested AccelQ for them, but again, it's a cost thing, right? So they're looking for some open source tools for no coding. So I need to prepare a POC for that. And so, yeah.
I have a couple of use cases very much in line with what Seema said, where, and that's why I kept saying in the beginning that it gives you a head start in terms of automation, from having nothing to having something, and to have a pool of testers who feel a little more confident about automation. And I have two such use cases where, where we were not even testing the UI elements. We were testing in deeper layers at API or interaction with devices, because we are talking about IoT. Okay. Now in those layers also, there are a couple of tools that can help you achieve that while you're interacting with devices. But if you go the traditional route and you have to write and build a framework, you know how difficult it is for anyways to build a framework for embedded systems. And whereas these tools gave us the advantage that, okay, we could write some code which will help us get insight into the connections and how these devices are interacting with each other. The whole hardware, firmware, software layer, how they are interacting, and we could actually get some tests done in that area. Not a lot, but at least giving the sense of confidence to the testers that this is actually possible. Automation is indeed possible there. So that ray of hope these tools will give you. And most importantly, like you said, Seema, it is the way of working which also has a lot of effect. Now, based on what you said, obviously you said that the vendor is helping you in a lot of cases, which means that your use cases are good inputs for the tool vendor because it's real time. So they get a good feedback on the tool, and they can obviously, make those changes to the tool to add on to the capabilities that the tool is offering. So that is also one side of it. That while the tool is helping you solve a part of your problem or the problem, you are also helping the tool to get better by providing that constant, feedback, asking for help, and they're trying to support you. So it is a mutual thing. Now, but again, the question is how do we encourage or motivate the testers to look in the direction of low-code tools, the adoption of low-code tools, or trying to learn something about them? One thing that, like Shiva said, one of the good ways to get used to or get your hands dirty in these low-code tools is to try the different hackathons that happen, which are happening with the various tools. Test Tribe, our friends at Test Tribe are doing a great job in organizing those. That's a great way of interacting with these tools, trying to learn something more, something different, and getting a head start. But apart from this, what do you think, or what are your suggestions of increasing the awareness, number one, and secondly, the adoption of these tools?
One is, like how we discovered right now that, there has been a lot of marketing that has been gone from these no-code tools on how it can do just some magic, and how it will save 5 times, 7 times, 3 times more efforts and all those things. But maybe they need to market them as also as a learning block for automation. And all these no-code tools or low-code tools eventually also provide a way to code. So,
Definitely.
You learn how to automate using some building blocks, and then you eventually code, and you learn something. And then that's a tangible skill rather than, just doing it. And I am I mean, I've read some experience report by Michael Bolton for a couple of no-code tools. And based on reading those, I could just conclude one thing, which I think even the no-code tool vendors need to work upon. That is the appropriate marketing and setting the right expectations for people. Because in theory and practical both look the same, but in practical they are different. So, I mean, they have to understand that, I mean, it's not always that. And I mean, a lot of people may actually just try initial versions of it and they may feel, okay, I mean, that's a scam marketing. And then they will never look at another no-code tool because they had an experience of a bad no-code tool with someone and they will see everything as marketing and scam. So
there's another way of looking at it, Rahul. The tool that they picked up might not fit their use case.
Yeah.
It may not work for them. So it may also be the case of a wrong choice being made in terms of evaluating and picking up a tool.
Or maybe they chose it as per their context. I agree. I mean, there could be 10% cases who just chose something wrong, but some people would be there who chose something for their context, and the context was web automation. But it is not actually saving 5x time.
Correct.
Or it's not that robust, or I mean, like that.
Correct. No. So these tool vendors, when they put out these numbers, 5x, 3x, it is for a certain use case that they have tried.
Yeah.
Okay. So they might back it up. So they might as well say that in this context it gives us 5x advantage, or in this context it gives us 3x advantage. But can they be that specific? I don't think so. Okay, marketing campaigns unfortunately are not run like that, right? So they have to somewhere dissolve that context and talk about it if they have to sell it and sell it well to a wider audience.
And maybe that negative air from a lot of automation testers.
That is also there. That is also there. That a lot of there is a lot of the traditional automation testers, the strong ones, the big ones who know a lot of automation. They are not so much in favor of using these tools because they don't see much value here. Okay, that's one thing. But what I am constantly trying to think about is how do I get somebody motivated to start looking at these tools, trying to play around. Almost all of the tools. We saw 8,690 some results in the Captaincom website. Okay. Almost all these tools, they have at least a 7-day trial period option, right? Why not give it a try? That trial is meant for that, right? Why not give it a try?
You can't be trialing absolutely every tool possible, right? You won't have that time in your day.
Right. I understand.
Into your work. The ones who try, there are two types. One, a keen tester. This person may not be the decision maker or the person implementing. It could be this person is just curious about various things that are happening. First of all, the ones who are learning or trying to learn anything to do with coding, when they look at tools like this, which are marketed like AI, ML, first of all, coding is a problem. Then you add on AI, ML, they'll back out. So when I first told about this tool, they were like, oh God, no, we don't even know how to write a basic test. You're asking us to do AI, ML. You don't have to write AI, ML. This has got nothing to do with that. You're writing a test, which is very simple. So let's just give it a try. And secondly, so one type is the curious tester. Then there is a hesitant tester. And then you have the leaders or the decision makers or someone who has that ability to finally take that decision. And when we do that, out of those hundreds of tools that are there, pick out certain number of tools which one open source tool, one or two open source tool, one or two paid tools, one or two something that's different about their marketing that you heard about, or you heard it from word of mouth. I asked a lot of people about what tools they are using, and I picked it from that. Then I looked at open source tools. So took a range of different tools. I know there are hundreds. Then you pick a small set of 2, 3, or 5, and then look at their capabilities and look at what of those capabilities does it match to what we want to achieve and want to do. So before that, we had to understand what is it that we want to achieve. So I didn't do that. I made my team along with me we sat down and we had it like an activity to sit and figure out what it is, what is your problem, how can we solve it, what is it that we want to do. Then looked at all these tools, which one of these, there were a lot of them we could achieve it with. Then started picking up each tool at a time from the trial and started ticking
the boxes,
mapping them to our product. So the first round was, does it integrate with XYZ to does it help us automate in a certain way? Does it do UI? Does it do CSS tests? Does it check HTML? Those, the high level ones. Then the second one, when we started the trial, we had another checklist of mapping it to our product. Okay, in our product, these are the things that we need to be testing often, which we find very difficult. Now from these, out of 100, we chose 5. And out of those 5, we reduced that to 3 based on the first round of reducing. And then out of those 3, we said, okay, which of these will support us in mapping to the product that we have and solving the problem that we need. That then brought us to 2. And then we started doing the proof of concept of both. And then it gave us a better idea of what it is. And the team doing it themselves, these are the ones, both code automation testers as well as the non-coding testers, both of them were involved. It gave them both a better understanding, because even I got resistance from half the team who were writing code saying, we can do it by code. This is just you wasted time. I was like, okay, can you do it? Do you think you can train the rest of the team and do at the speed at which we need to achieve this? Then let's do it. But tell me, can you do it? No. Okay, then let's try this, and let's try it with an open mind, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, it comes from 3 different types. So if it's just a curious tester, you just go around, play around, take the trial, try and understand, go to hackathons, try and understand. Otherwise, it has to be very structured, I think.
Yeah, of course, structure.
And the marketing plays a lot. If just because they heard AI, ML, there are a lot of people who are like, not my cup of tea, I'll stay away.
Yeah, right. No, absolutely right. I mean, when I said go ahead and try it, of course, I didn't mean that you can try everything. Okay, it is not humanly possible to try everything, but try something in your context. Okay, try to understand what your goal is, what you are trying to achieve, and see which one of those actually meets those or ticks the boxes that you are trying to tick with the particular tool. Mahati, you came on camera a couple of times, didn't speak a word. So it's your opportunity. The floor is open to you.
Okay. So when I started my career, probably in 2013 or 14, I started on as a C# developer, and later that was not interesting to me. So I moved into testing. And the first project that I was put on was a performance testing project where we used load runner or JMeter. And then I used QTP as such. And that was the first time I was using something related to automation. So I was worried because I don't even know anything about testing, and they have put me into automation. How would I take it, and what were the challenges? I don't know anything. And this is a Mega Gamma account where I was working for a client called FedEx. So that was the scenario. And then one day I went to my lead and I asked her, what is the career trajectory for a tester? So she was telling me, what is that? First you do manual, then you switch into automation. for certain amount of years. And then if you don't like testing, and then it becomes stagnant, and then you learn cutting edge technologies like data science or AI or something, or you become a developer. And if you don't like that, quit IT, go out of IT. So that was what she told me. Okay. And then I was like, what the hell is she talking? Then I remember a teammate who came and told when I was struggling with load runner, this is not your cup of tea. And I'm like, okay, then what's my cup of tea? These were the things I heard. So after a period of time, I learned that anything new that comes into your work scope or workspace, you face resistance. I mean, the initial challenges or struggle is real for anybody. So I was also thinking, what is this guy telling? I used to crib at home every day that this guy is telling that person is telling me this. Am I suitable for IT? Not even for testing or automation. So this was my mentality, and this was the environment I was in. So quickly, somebody told me that I think the environment of your project is not actually proper. Maybe you have to shift to a different project. So I quickly went and told, if you're not shifting me out of this project, I'm going to put my papers. So I was out of the project, and I went into a project where I was put into a Selenium-based automation project. So I started liking it. I don't like coding as such, but I didn't even hate it as such. So the initial resistance or rejection that I had in my brain was totally changed with the team and with me liking things. So that was how it changed. And similar is the case for low code or no code tools. Anything new that comes into the market faces resistance. People don't even try. For example, the first hackathon, Signathon, which I participated, I wanted to test a low code tool called as Cometa. But I faced a resistance from my team member. I tried to convince her there itself, at least we'll give a try. There is a video by Rahul. So let's look into it. So at least let's look into it. Let's take a picture and let's try. She was still saying no. And she was telling me that she's going to quit even participating in the hackathon. So there was another team member. She said, let's not create this environment of uncomfortableness and things like that. And let's go ahead. So that didn't stop me from trying out no-code tools as such. And then the virtues of hackathon came up. So I sat with their team before the hackathon itself, and I wanted to pitch this tool to my office people. But I was thinking on the grounds of what is the problem that I'm trying to solve, or where does this fit in our projects, and how can I pitch this to my management, the director or the CEO who I would be working with. So I was not even convinced the way they were interacting with me. And later, I could not even tell my management, God, what will I tell them? I mean, leaders usually don't want all this bullshit in bullshit business. So they would quickly ask me, Madhi, what are you trying to solve? What are you, be crisp, 3 sentences and it's done. So I was not convinced, and they were behind me that this is a pretty fantastic tool. And later I thought, okay, maybe in the hackathon, I would find it exciting. I'll take it up. And then one more friend also participated in the same hackathon, and we were like, I didn't find this interesting, and we discussed all this. And then AxleQ changed the perspective of the tool, at least to an extent. I found it easier to use. And also I could find people I could convince a lot of my other friends to come to this AxleQ hackathon, because I remember people telling me that, okay, Mati, I'm not able to code. My career in testing is over. I'm going to quit. I'm a loser. I'm a failure for life. I don't even want to come to testing. I'm a disgrace to the testing community. I've heard people telling me this. So from that stage to confidently coming and at least participating and trying tools. And I've seen a teammate of mine who told me all these things, to the point where Test Sigma came out as an open source. At least she came and told me, I knew Test Sigma was there. Test Sigma were doing proper amount of marketing. She came and told me things like Test Sigma's out looks exciting. At least hearing those things from her mouth, it was pretty happy for me, at least as a teammate. When you find people who were discouraging themselves and thinking that I'm not even suitable at this point of time, to coming to the pace where they actually tell you things like this, it's exciting. And one more thing is that I was recently trying to test myself in an interview. So I went to an interview. This was for a startup in Hyderabad, which is in T-Hub. T-Hub is an incubator hub which has a lot of startups. So usually interviews around automation were mostly centered around Selenium, Java. The first question they ask is what framework you're using. How do you rate yourself on Selenium or Java over? And this interview was different kind of. They were asking me that, okay, you are from a Selenium or Java background and you like coding, for example. If we adapt something like a no-code automation tool, would you be able to adapt to that environment? Would you encourage the team members to work on it? So there has been a change in the mindsets of people. Initial resistance always is there and will always be there. No matter today it's no code, tomorrow there will be something else. But the thing is, if we are ready to face and change our mindsets and adapt to things, anything will be possible. And if it was possible for a teammate of mine who said depressing words and that used to affect even me, it's possible with everybody. And luckily in our organization, the current organization that I'm in, the leaders also have brought in that culture where they told that knowing automation only is not the end of the world. Or I've seen people telling, one more perspective that I wanted to bring here is, if you don't know automation, go to a Scrum Master, business analyst post. You just require communication there, or switch off from the traditional testing discipline and go into that. So with low-code tools, I don't find people quickly telling that at least I'm going to go to a Scrum Master, I'm going to go to a PA, or I'm going to go to a PO. So this has been my perspective.
Well, that is an amazing story, and of course brings to light the problems that organizations have in their culture, because this is more of a cultural issue when somebody tells you a roadmap like that. And that for me is a big red flag right there. Somebody trying to tell you, oh, your career will be over, leave IT. I had somebody tell me, another lady who was told to go get married. Okay, and yeah, absolutely, Rahul. She was told, you as a tester, you can't survive for a long time. Marriage is a better option for you, so get married and get settled.
Oh, I've got that as well. You're anyway abroad. You can get married, have a child. It's such an easy life outside. So just because I'm not in India, apparently it's supposedly very easy to live. I didn't know that, and I still haven't understood if it's true because it's not been easy. But yeah, I was told that have a child and that's it. Don't have to worry about it afterwards.
Yeah,
you just need a husband who learn.
I mean, we have such regressive mindsets. Anything to do with technology is always seen with an eye of, as things are evolving, is always seen with an eye of skepticism. What I think, and so before I close, I've got 3 minutes. So any closing comments from anyone? 30 seconds each.
I don't know who said to Bhati or to Seema. Okay, I believe such person is not an educated, or he's not mature enough to talk, or he doesn't have the maturity to say something. Because as we educated, what our parents brought up is given a chance of educating ourselves. It doesn't mean that only read the books, get the marks. It's the mindset, it's the maturity, what you understand, how to respect each other, irrespective of bias on the side of girl or a boy, and the way we talk to each other. Okay, so it is a space that we are learning for everyone. Everyone should learn, and as I believe there are a lot of girls who is leading many positions and many organizations. So I don't think that. And coming back to the codeless topic, and yeah, Rohan also like given me chance recently of looking at the things of Test Sigma. So and yeah, that is the Axel Q all started with Testprep giving me chance of learning from Axel Q, which is a no code. So I think I'm looking in that way of understanding no code tools because I also need to prepare a POC for my company. So that's where I'm working on. So this session given me little heads ups. I scribbled myself with few points what everyone told here, Rahul, Seema, and British yourself. So I use those points and I'll try to check if there is anything, if I need your help on this. Yeah.
Thank you, Shiva. Rahul?
Interesting points. I mean, I've shared all, but people giving advice to Seema. And I mean, I know people would be giving advices to all of us. I mean, I receive some crazy advices all the time. And I mean, the solution is, I mean, it's by Jerry Weinberg. I mean, avoid free advice, and free consultants are like guests who polish their shoes on your dinner table, and they are eventually never invited back. So I mean, I mean, they deal with a level of skepticism with us, but then in turn, I mean, they also end up damaging a lot of things and future collaborations or work or positivity in relations. So that's fine. I mean, different people have different priorities, and I'm happy to convey them my priorities. And yeah.
Strangely, the story that I shared about getting married comes from one of my recent guests on one of my episodes. This was broken to me, that she was told like that. One of the very recent episodes that I did, somebody told me that this happened, and it happened in a large organization which boasts a strength of more than 150,000 employees all over the world. Okay, so a large organization having people with such a regressive mindset, I'm not surprised that this was told to you as well, Seema. So
you know what? One thing I've realized, it doesn't matter how highly you're educated, how big or which big organization you work in. Bottom line, what sort of human being you are. It just, I've seen a range of them, and yeah, that's a topic I don't want to go into right now. Yes, it doesn't matter how highly education doesn't do anything to these people, because their mind is set in a certain way, and the best thing is avoid them, stay away, because you can never change their mind. At least live and let live and move on, because I don't want to waste my time on them either, trying to change any of them.
I can also tell you that another guest long time ago, before I did my test to speak interview, told me that her marriage proposal was rejected because she was a manual tester.
My marriage proposal got rejected because I'm a chemical engineer, not a computer science engineer.
Oh my God.
And not one, not too many. I was deemed as unmarriageable because unless I do a computer science course, and once I pass that course, I might have a chance. Might.
Well,
I had a same kind of experience recently. I had a proposal here, like through the Bharat Matrimony, and she's working as a project manager, I believe, and she's earning double the salary of what I am. Okay, and she asked me a few questions in the initial conversation, like where you're working, what is your this and that. Okay, I told her this is my company and I'm working for senior engineering testing, and she observed everything, and 2 days she took a break. She said, I'm sick for a couple of days. Then after a week or so, I messaged her, what is an update? She said, I would like to stop, good luck with your other matches. And what is the reason? She said, I think it's better we'll stop it here. I understood that, she's working in a company as a project manager. She's earning double the salary. Do respect that, her opinion, but it doesn't mean that working as software engineering in testing, it doesn't mean we are low to someone. That is what I don't really like, what people look at it. But by God's grace, from past 4 years, what I see, a lot of things change, and we are more respectable people now in industry and across the globe than the developers. I believe it, and I'm believing very strongly. That is where the perception change. But yes, I totally agree. Whatever you people are saying, I had a bad experience as well.
So it is not limited to one gender. So the regressive mindset, thankfully, is not limited to one gender. Nobody is spared. I've had my own share, but that is for some other day. Closing comments from you, Mahati, Seema.
You need to make this into an episode. Perhaps that will have more conversation.
Yeah.
No, we should talk about we should talk about organization culture and this. Yeah. So I mean that's definitely there in the radar. So closing comments from you, Mahati.
I think free advice is already every day given to me. One day it may be in the form of marriage. To next day it may be that I think you should go for a different role. But ultimately, you have to challenge them all and take a stand. That's what I think. Because I remember I'm not biasing with any gender, but usually I've seen when I talk with female colleagues or something, the most common advice is go marry. Why do you have to be so ambitious? Why this, why that, why something else? The first question that comes to my mind is who are you to tell me all this? Why? No, I don't need this advice. And I know what I have to do. If my parents are supportive, I don't need your advice. And the second thing is, everywhere you go, you are challenged, and it depends on how you take it, whether it's a challenge or if you're seeing it as a problem. And coming to marriage things, like Shiva had said, yes, being a girl, I've never faced things like this, but I've seen my colleagues say ki if I were to marry, I would marry a developer rather than a tester or a test manager as such. And that too, they should be from a fan company in this package. So
living in the US?
No, India. Living in the US, because some people are so homesick that they don't want to leave India or leave their hometown. And if they were to move to US, they had another set of conditions. So yeah.
Thanks, Manati, for saying that. It is the same. It is happening with my experience. Yeah, I've seen people asking me which company is the first question. Okay. If you're not working in Amazon, Microsoft, or big MNCs, that namely so Infosys, after that, there will be no return call from there or return message from there, because those only the companies, they think that like it's a government job, like semi parallel to the government job. They think it is a company where you can sustain, but they're not respecting the person's passion or interest, what he's trying to do, because there is no second call to explain all these things. First call itself, you'll be rejected because you're not working in a big company. So
that's why that Netflix series came, Indian Matchmaking. I find it hilarious, but it's true. What is true is true. I mean, even when I see my own friends, parents telling, does this company even exist? When I say about my company, what? Persistent. Okay, does this company even exist? They know only certain companies, Infosys, TCS, Wipro, HCL. Any new company?
I have a fantastic tool for that. For such people, which even educates them how to find about such companies, and maybe eventually ends up.
Good one, Rahul. Good one, Rahul.
Seema, your closing comments.
Well, just like to be alive, you need fruits, you need vegetables, you need dry fruits, you need liquids, you need water, you need coffee to survive the morning. At least I do. Same way, low code, more testing, whatever is needed to make it work, to make it into a product of testing. Go for it. Don't sit with a closed mindset. I'll only drink liquids, or I'll only eat solids. Just be open, whatever opportunities come, and write your own book.
Good, great, awesome. So what started off as a discussion on low code ended on a very interesting note with stories.
I think Rahul wanted to say something. I thought his hand was up. I'm not sure. No?
The only thing I wanted to say was that maybe we can have a Twitter space or next session on marriageable engineering.
Oh yeah, so that thought has already been registered in my mind. And we are going to have an exclusive discussion somewhere, either a Chatterbox episode or a Twitter space or things like that. So that's obviously there.
Are we marriageable? And if we have to marry, what does our
criteria
advertise look like for how you are asking for what you want, your requirements?
No code marriageable bride.
Yeah. Brijesh, kindly do it, because the person I mentioned, she's in LinkedIn as well. In my LinkedIn, hope she sees it.
Okay. So yeah, what I was saying is what started off as an interesting discussion on on low-code tools. Ended up on a good note with us getting ideas for next sessions.
I'm just wondering, okay, testers writing, just because we're tester and we write automation code as well. And still if we are unmanageable, then if we start going for low code, which is less coding, where are we heading towards? Should we be worried about this now?
Yeah, Seema, good one. Good point to be raised. Yeah, I think we need to decide whether we need to do that or not, because as the chances will be little lesser than that. So yeah, please think before we do it.
As if our problems weren't less. Now we have to think, okay, you're not an automation tester, low-code tool. Okay, no, sorry, can't marry you.
Interesting thought there. Well, so a final point from me. I think I keep saying this, that the greatest asset of any, or assets of any tester, are curiosity and imagination, and keep that alive to let it feed into your success path, and you will go much far ahead. And with the low-code tools, with so many of them in the market, I think it's important that the testers keep their mind open, and then they look at that from that perspective, and they learn, they experiment, so that they explore the opportunities that are there presented to them. It was a great discussion. Some very interesting thoughts expressed. I want to thank all of you. Shiva, can you open your camera for a minute, please?
Yeah.
Okay, got that. Thank you. Thank you for joining this session. It was a wonderful conversation. Next week, we meet again, and we look at a very interesting aspect of testing careers, and we will talk about job descriptions. Okay, so because
disappointing, Brijesh.
Sorry?
That's disappointing topic.
Okay. No.
It's just brought in lots of memories.
No, I think it's there is a lot of there are a lot of memes out there. So I thought, why let this discussion be limited to memes, and why not brought up on a stage and talking about it, because ultimately careers are getting affected because of that. People are getting apprehensive. People are they want to change careers. Suddenly looking at job descriptions, they're like, oh, so as a tester, if I want to grow, I need to do this. So why not become a BA or a Scrum Master? And that's why those conversations come. Oh, the career in testing is almost over for me. I'm stuck. When I look at a job description, I get scared. We could do much better without scaring people away with nasty job descriptions. So that's just the thought. But of course, if you have a different suggestion, most welcome. We can we have time to change the topic. So
I really want to thank Brijesh and this test chat thing team, because I mean, testers really need to speak out and speak up, and I mean, their voices need to be heard. They need to speak up first, and this is good platform where we speak on some topics. And I feel a good effect that this can have is that when other testers are going to listen to this eventually, they will know that they are not the only one.
Well, that is one of the reasons, Rahul, I encourage people for attending these sessions. Unfortunately, the attendance has been low. People perhaps assume that anyways it's going to be on YouTube and I'm going to watch it. And trust me, that never happens. Okay, only a few who are really, really curious go to YouTube and watch the episode. Okay, if I look at the number of views on the TTC Meetup videos, it will tell me a story of how many people have actually seen. Okay, so even if I put that, and that's why, for the previous episode, I delayed the release of the episode till late last night when I sat and did it. Okay, so because I thought, okay, at least somebody be curious. I announced this first and then I uploaded the previous week's video. Okay, but here we are, only 5 of us talking. So that's another area for us to address. As much as I would want to see my YouTube channel grow, when I say I say Test Chat YouTube channel grow, what I would actually want is more and more people participating in these conversations, and to bring in more perspectives, to bring in more stories, like for example, the story that Mahati shared. And we want to hear more of these, yes, right? Or the things that Seema said or Shiva said. I mean, who would have thought that the other gender also faces such problems? It is not limited to just one specific gender. So, these stories for them to come out, people need to actually attend these sessions. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Okay, it doesn't really have that effect. Okay, we do all the talking. It's getting recorded. It will be there on YouTube sometime. Some people will say, okay, I know. Okay, somebody who's really curious will go and see it. Others will not even look at it. So anyways, I hope that people start attending these sessions. Somehow we are able to drive these more effectively with more attendance. That's the only hope that I have. I will see how I can
try to find out what is stopping them. Is it time? Is it fear of something? Or is it that they don't want to be seen, visible?
I don't think it's time or fear, but I remember the first meetup that I attended this year on testability. So I had nothing to speak on that. And I dragged one of my team member to this meetup. So she just came in for a split second and she left. So she is comfortable as long as she does not want to be questioned, or she just wants to hear. She wants to be a listener rather than a speaker. So that is one perspective I've heard. I don't know about the other. What are the potential reasons? So,
I feel, for some topics like testability or heuristics where people are going to share something and all, Zoom is a nice, fantastic medium. But for, discussions like today's, where we were mostly doing, talking, I feel Twitter Spaces would have been a right place.
No, so today the agenda was actually codeless tools. So we wanted to keep it within the periphery of what we are doing. But for something like the culture discussion, okay, Twitter Spaces would be a more ideal medium.
Yeah.
Okay, or a Chatterbox episode will be a more ideal environment. Where
What
there is a panel.
Space?
It's on. Sorry.
What is Twitter Space? Is it like
so it's more like it's more like a live podcast kind of a thing where people can join in and talk. Okay.
Audio mode only.
Audio mode only, and of course it has the facility of getting recorded, so that is also there. And we've hosted one episode in the past. Twitter Space TTC has done in the past.
Okay.
So we want to do more of it. Okay, so and that's why we even started Racket. Racket is also a good medium, but again, the number of people who can participate in a 9-minute discussion is it's only limited to 9 minutes. That's why we had to sort of give it a try and stop it there. But then, just to summarize, good discussion. We will have more points to talk about. Thank you for joining. I wish you all a wonderful rest of the Sunday and a good working week ahead. Any ideas, any thoughts, please share, and we will take it up in the upcoming episodes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.